And good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition and season of Show Blitz, your Steelers source for pre and post game coverage throughout the season, as well as coverage throughout the NFL. I am your host, as always, Charles Prodigy Richey, and despite my absence for the last few months, I've been ironing a few things out, got some few exciting projects in the making as I will be announcing throughout the year, so stay tuned here. And once again, the Pittsburgh Steelers right now will be entering for the 2024 campaign as we look at it right now. It is going to be their 92nd season here going into the NFL right now, as they'll be with a fresh new quarterback room and new offensive uh, coordinator in Arthur Smith. And here we go right now. The Steelers right now are looking to improve and go a little bit further. Hopefully, will this team finally get the message that has been set by our Art Rooney at the end of the season conference, where he was saying that they must find a way to go deeper into January. We shall see about that. Once again, you guys can follow me on my social media if you want to check me out. You can definitely follow me at MetaSteelCGR on X and at MetaSteelNation on Instagram. And which, by the way, two other anniversaries coming, other special occasions for the NFL. It is not only the 105th season of the National Football League, but this will also mark a very significant anniversary or season for the American Football League, which played a significant role in giving the NFL competition back in the day. It was a huge part once they got the talent they were looking for in the draft, where they had to pay for high college players, getting TV coverage, but finally someone that stood up to the NFL and challenged them, where they added a second league. They eventually merged, which eventually led to the Super Bowl era. So happy right now, as we go into it, it'll be their 65th season of the American Football League, which later became the American Football Conference back in 1970, as well as the NFL forming into the NFC. The NFL merger, which was agreed upon in 1966, didn't take place until 1970. So it will also be the 55th season of officially when the leagues merge together. So a lot of exciting stuff right now, as you could imagine right now. I mean, basically, it's been a great summer. Other than that, so far, a lot of stuff leading up to this path right now, as we look at the new hybrid kickoff rule, which can definitely be interesting right now. We have not seen a lot of returns throughout the preseason or anything coming up. But that's why the Pittsburgh Steelers, they took a chance. They signed Cordero Patterson, hopefully to be a significant special contributor for this role. As you look at, I mean, Cordero Paris right there, who has definitely the resume. And when you look at it, probably the next closest thing to like a Devin Hester in a way. But I mean, a guy who's a four-time All-Pro, four-time Pro Bowler. He's been a Super Bowl champion with the New England Patriots back in 2018. And he's part of the 2010 All-Decade team right here. So he's definitely got quite the resume, I mean, for anything going on right now, when you look at it. I mean, his career high as far as returns, which is basically on kick returns, was with his rookie year, where he had 1,393 yards with two touchdowns that were returned, 32.4. Second highest total came back in 2015, where he had 1,019 yards returns off of 32 returns altogether. Pittsburgh Steelers, they took a chance on signing this guy right now. As we look at it, and he is the guy that they seeked out for this new hybrid kickoff rule for them to come in. As he signed a 2-year, $6 million contract with the Steelers, including a 1.9 1.9 million signing bonus, 1.9 guaranteed. We'll see if he'll be able to last the two seasons. If they cut him at the end of the season, we'll see. But I think for right now, I mean, the Steelers right now, I mean, the excitement that we've been looking to, I mean, you had to start back to this journey when you look back at it. I'd go as far back as like 7 years ago when they last had Todd Haley. I mean, orchestrating the Killer Bees offense with Big Ben Roethlisberger. Now, they were together as a tandem since forcing out, of course, Bruce Arians at the conclusion of the 2011 season. But Todd Haley definitely brought like the best in Ben Roethlisberger as far as like his passing game, keeping him protected, avoiding lesser hits, and you saw over time a high scoring offense. Now, I mean, he was right there at that point in time in the first season back in 2012, slowly starting to gel. It took them a while throughout that season, but then they really started to took off in the second year, and until they made the playoffs in 2014, they had at least like 6 seasons working together. You look at it. After Todd Haley was fired, they brought in at the end of that season, they brought in Randy Fichtner. Randy Fichtner, who had to just tweak up a few little things right there, was only with 2/3 of the Killer Bees, which was then at that point Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown, no longer Le'Veon Bell, which they could not come to a long-term deal until Ben Roethlisberger got hurt 2019. And then what ended up happening, he only had 2 more seasons which he started off solidly in the 2020 season, but then towards the end, his accuracy was starting to slowly go down. Still managed to pass for a high amount of pass yards and an ugly loss to the Browns. And even his last season, as slow as he was, I mean, a lot of people, like right now, looking back at it, Steel Nation will be saying that they'd be glad to take Ben Roethlisberger, who's barely doing it off of one leg, get be whatever you want to call it. But at the same time, he was still better than what we've seen the last previous years. I mean, Kenny Pickett, who I definitely had high hopes for, I thought he was definitely going to continue to grow in the second season. It was just heartbreaking to watch, like how this guy was finding a way to have game-winning drives, fourth quarter comebacks. I mean, start off his career. Only then during that second season, I mean, yes, I mean the 49ers opener after having a perfect preseason. I mean, a year ago, that first game against the 49ers, that definitely slammed the door shut, and I think it slowly rocked his confidence. Now, he was able to still have a few game-winning drives that year, 2023, last year, but you saw when he got hurt during that one game throughout the season, and it was just never really like the same confidence since then. And I believe that was to the Arizona Cardinals where they lost that game where he did get hurt. He was definitely eventually ruled out. I mean, the rest of the season, he did not come back from that point in time. But that was right there. I mean, you thought you had something going against the Bengals. That was the Cardinals. They lost right there. They would go on a 3-game losing streak, but they will win out and get some help to get into the playoffs with Mason Rudolph of all people. Now, he was a guy who always kept hanging around. I mean, for the longest time. But at the same time, but yeah, Mason Rudolph, he went on to move on to another team. He is with the Tennessee Titans, I believe, who actually could not get re-signed right now. Signed with the Titans, signed a 1-year, $2.87 million deal. The Titans are looking to get their season on track. If they're going through like a pretty much a new makeover, they're without Derrick Henry right now, who's part of the Baltimore Ravens, as we look at it. But for right now, I mean, he is a backup right now to Will Levis, and here we go. So, like I said, we got lots of stuff to get into right now, but let's go ahead and like recap earlier in the week. Earlier in the week, back on Tuesday, September 3rd, Cam Hayward and Steelers, as was announced on Tuesday, before 5 p.m. Eastern time, they agreed to a new 3-year deal worth $45 million. Now, remember, he was on the final year of his of his recent deal that he last signed back in 2020, which is a 4-year extension. Basically, as he enters his 14th season, with him being in the final year of a 5-year, $65.6 million deal he signed, he was at 35. He was already the highest paid interior defense lineman over the age of 31 in the NFL. So Jerry Dulac basically quickly explained that they converted 16 million of this year's salary into a sign bonus, and it will save Steelers more than 9 million against the salary cap per sources. Now Hayward, who's definitely been the Walter Payton Man of the Year award and well deserved. Yes, I mean he has definitely been derailed by injuries recently. Another guy you can make the case who's playing pretty much gimpy, but I mean at the same time too, a guy like Cam Hayward right now. I mean when you look at it, I mean for the most part, I mean he there was only at least like I mean 2 seasons you could practically argue where he didn't like start majority of his games. Now, I mean, he started like pretty much all his games each season. Like I said, with the exception of 2016 when he had the torn pec, I believe it was, where he was after 7 games he was ruled out for the year. Then, of course, back in last from that one, yeah, was last year where he started 11 out of his 11 games that he played. So this is a guy who's definitely been definitely a true captain in every sense of the word. I mean, a pro's pro throughout. But I mean, he definitely just truly like one of the heart and souls on this defense. A great leader that you could definitely depend on. But here we go. So you really start to think right now. I mean, it was almost looking like a little murky. There was times where he actually thought about playing for another team if he had to go somewhere else. I mean, glad he got it done. He is here, and we'll see what happens. So, I mean, so far in his career, he's totaled 80 and a half sacks, 8 forced fumbles, and 2 interceptions during his decade plus tenure in Pittsburgh, including a career high 10 and a half sacks just 2 seasons ago. He registered 20 and a half sacks combined in 2021 and 2022 before injury started to derail his 2023 campaign. So welcome back, Captain Cam. And also speaking of Steelers extensions, which Jerry Dulac definitely predicted, they actually took care of tight end Pat Fryermuth to a 5-year, $49.88 million contract with 23.38 million guaranteed per sources. And he was the lowest paid starting tight end in the league. Now that's out the window right now. The deal includes this season's salary plus an additional 4 years, so he's signed for up to the 2028 season. Firemouth was a second-round pick out of Penn State in 2021 and made an immediate impact with 60 receptions for 497 yards and 7 touchdowns as a rookie. Came back the next season with even more reception yards for 732 yards on 62 catches, but regressed in the Steelers' struggling offense last year. He was limited to 32 catches and 308 yards. And there we go. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely been weird times. I don't know what to say for right now, but I mean, you look at it for right now. I mean, they definitely got the core building blocks in place. Now, the only question is with a guy like Cam Hayward right now, who, by the way, I mean, when you look at it, I mean, he already turned 35 years old back in May. I mean, is he going to be able to play all 3 of those seasons right there? I mean, Cam right now, When you really think about it, I mean, just glad they took care of him. He's well deserved. Where he gets a Super Bowl ring or not with the Steelers, I could just definitely appreciate the fact that he's a guy who's he'll go down swinging no matter what. I mean, he's done everything you could ask for. True Steeler in every sense of the word. Hope they could take care of him, but for right now, I mean, it's just basically this guy's waited a long time. He might be the equivalent of like maybe like an Armani Dawson or whatever, or Greg Lloyd. I mean, just a long tenured, I mean, Steeler for the most part, who has come in here, done a lot of stuff. But I mean, yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be a season right now. I think where they could definitely turn some heads right now. But for right now, here we are. I mean, they are looking to get in here. I mean, Cam Hayward right now. I mean, if he was able to play out his 3-year contract, he would go on to become the second most tenured Steeler. Ben Roethlisberger holds the record with 18, which he took over by eclipsing Mike Webster, who had 15 seasons from 1974 and 1978. If he does finish out his contract, it will be 16th season in the black and gold right there. It'll be the second most for all time on the list. I mean, I mean, the second defensive player on the list as far as being the longest tenured Steeler, you'd have to look at guys. I mean, right now, like Donnie Shell, Mel Blunt, and Uri Stautner. I mean, just give you a few names. Some elite company right there. But anyway, here we are right now. Got the extension out of the way. Hayward and Freiermuth has been taken care of right now. Now, as we go into it right now, we go into some injuries and stuff. Now, earlier in the week, left guard Isaac Sayamalo, who injured his pectoral last week, could return from his pectoral injury sooner rather than later, which has been good news for the team as their season will get underway this Sunday in Atlanta. But when we look at it right now, for like the injury report going in here, which has been updated by the way throughout the week. Unfortunately, Sayamalo, he is going to be out. He did not practice all week. But like I said, it should be expected to return sooner rather than later. You also got wide receiver Roman Wilson, one of the backup receivers. He is out due to an ankle injury. And last but not least, one of their backup defensive ends, Logan Lee, he is out with a calf injury. Now the biggest question right now, Russell Wilson, who they definitely signed to the vet minimum right now, he is dealing with a calf injury that he injured back in training camp back on July 24th, I believe it was. He's been limited on Thursday and Friday. Thursday is when he popped up on the report. He is questionable, so it looks like at this point in time, it's got to be a game time decision if you were to ask me. I mean, for right now, I mean, just be the moment Justin Fields looks to try and make his impression, make his marks. This might be the opportunity he's been waiting for. Now, like I said, I've been definitely very hesitant. I really feel like this season right now is definitely going to come down to the quarterback room for right now. This is where they got to be very careful right now. I think they made a lot of good moves. I mean, like decent signings, put them in this position. But when I look back at it, I have to kind of like agree with Mike Greenberg from ESPN, host of Get Up, and also been on multiple shows on ESPN. But it's a good possibility they did get two really bad quarterbacks, to be honest with you. I'm not really too sure how else to say this. Now, I mean, you look at a guy like Dak Prescott, I mean, it's still up in the air right now if he's going to get his deal in time. They got until about before 4:25 p.m. Eastern before their game starts versus the Cleveland Browns, which, by the way, should be Tom Brady's NFL on Fox debut. His broadcasting crew will be again as a color analyst for Fox Sports, replacing Greg Olson right there. But yeah, But right now, I must say, I tell you what, Dak Prescott. I mean, Troy Aikman was saying, who even on the Pat McAfee show, he is the guy that deserves to be, who more than likely will be the first quarterback of around $60 million and for the cap figure. I mean, one of the first quarterbacks. Now, if you're the Steelers right now, listen, he will be an unrestricted free agent next season in 2025 if he does not resign with the Cowboys. I'm not saying that a deal is not going to get done. I mean, that he is definitely moving on, but I think that's something to watch out for. I mean, you really start to look back at it right now. I mean, yes, you got a guy, Russell Wilson, who's had a Super Bowl resume. I mean, he was on his way to a Hall of Fame career until the last few seasons since 2021. He has been on the decline. I mean, then you hear all the crazy stories about him isolating himself from his teammates, the private training, film study, and workouts, isolating from the team basically, where Sean Payton came over in the second season and pretty much whooped him a new butthole basically. And things did not work out. They had to eat up like over, I want to say 38 million, whatever it was, because he had like a guarantee on there in his contract. I think it was due to injury, but to pay, still able to pay that guy, get him out of there. And you look what the Broncos have right now, basically, for their sake. I mean, when you look at it, they got an Bo Nix, who's under Sean Payton. Now, he's not their top quarterback starter. Sean Payton right now, he's, you know what? He had to take on that role where someone had to be the bad guy. I think it's going to work out for them in due time. Sean Payton was definitely the biggest jerk of the year, if you ask me. But I do believe he's got madness. He's meth- method behind his science, if you ask me. So here we go right now. I mean, like I said, I'm really starting to wonder right now how many people are really thinking like, Steelers should try to re-sign Mason Rudolph. I just never saw him being a long-term fit. I think he definitely did a good job filling in for the rest of that season, went on that stretch, but realistically, it wasn't going to last that long, in my opinion. I mean, this year, I don't know about Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. I'm really having some serious doubts right now. I mean, what they just need to just find a way to do is just keep the offense simple, take care of the ball, get some decent protection for their offensive linemen, and will hopefully they could be well on their way. Now, as far as like some other stuff right now, the Steelers could also get some important players who missed time in the preseason back for the Falcons game. Talking about offensive lineman Troy Fautanu, who's dealing with a knee injury. Receiver Roman Wilson, as we just went over a moment ago, he is questionable with a calf injury. And then you also got Jalen Warren hamstring and defense back Corey Christ Jr. groin are working their way back from injuries. Now, Spencer Ashton, he is expected to make his first start at left guard in place of Saamalo against the Falcons after making the 53-man roster last year because he would play all three positions on the offensive line. Beecham Lake Anderson was a seventh-round draft choice in 2012. He wanted to start 50 games over the next 4 years for the Steelers before he moved on to play for the Jaguars, Jets, and Cardinals. He is about to enter his 13th NFL season. Other players with similar stories include Chris Hubbard and Matt Filer. They also worked their way up from versatile backup to star status. I mean, this offensive line is definitely going to be key, but let's go ahead and get into it right now. Steelers are traveling to Atlanta. They are 15-2 all time, 15-2 all time versus Falcons, including 8-2 on the road. Last game that they lost, it looks like on the road versus the Falcons. When we look at it, was back during Michael Vick's year, which would have been back in 2006. Which, by the way, is the last game they have lost to date. So you're talking about like 18 years ago, right there. That was on the road. Steelers defending Super Bowl champions, which by the way was just Bill Cowher's last year. That was pretty bang bang back and forth game. Steelers were going to lose that game by a field goal, 38-41. I mean, the only other time they lost, they had a significant gap. I mean, where they went like nearly 37 seasons without losing to the Falcons. Think about that, from 1970 to 2006. I mean, that's how long the gap was for the Falcons to get their first and their second win. So the Steelers pretty much own the Atlanta Falcons. At home, they're undefeated. They're 7-0 in one lifetime. The only time, which was Bill Cowher's only tie, where he blew lead with 11 points or more, which went overtime. And that was Tommy Max's year, filling in for Cordell Stewart. But yeah, that was again to Michael Vick right there. So 7-0-1 and 8-2 on the road. Now let's go ahead look at more stuff right now. Wilson, which by the way, who popped up on the injury report on Thursday due to calf tightness. The wide receiver, Van Jefferson, said he had no idea Wilson was limited today. I mean, limited on Thursday. He was limited in Thursday's practice on the south side pond, reporting that discomfort to the train staff, according to Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin was saying that his calf got tight. So we wanted to exercise some precaution. We'll see what tomorrow looks like and kind of go from there. And when there was another question too being asked to Mike Tomlin, was there any long-term concern with Wilson's problematic calf? None. Mike Tomlin did respond. So here we go right now. I mean, Fields, who was put on ice for any interviews, while Wilson made his way through the locker room with no noticeable limp or treatment for his bulky calf. Other players spoke about the elephant in the room, including number one running back Najee Harris. We're confident whoever is at quarterback, according to Harris. We know the game plan. We're going to execute it. We're confident in whoever's there. I mean, that's the only good thing I could say right now. Like I said, I was happy when the Steelers signed Russell Wilson back in March, early or end of February, early March. But and then getting Justin Fields, I was disappointed. But as you get more close and the season's about ready to go, it's really starting to sink into me. I mean, yes, I don't mean to take any shots at Art Rooney. I don't mean it that way, but I mean I think we definitely got it right. Like I said, we are a spoiled fan base, yes, but there is understanding too where they have to, if they get find a way to get back in the playoffs, what are they doing to move the needle forward? You gotta quit this losing in the playoffs. And I mean that's even like up like debatable if they're gonna even make the postseason. But let's go ahead and get into keys to the game for this game. Looking at it, and I was looking on the Pittsburgh Post Gazette with Brian Backo, and agreeing with some of his takes right here. I'm gonna go and read them off to you right there. Key number one, we taking away Bijan Robinson, making Kirk Cousins pilot a one-dimensional passing offense. We'll put the pressure on him in his first game action, six at Achilles tear in October. Now, if you look at Kirk Cousins, by the way, too, who's definitely struggled with the Steelers. I mean, his team last dominated him when he was a former member of the Minnesota Vikings. That famous Thursday Night Football where they had a significant beatdown right there on the Steelers. Steelers nearly managed to pull it off, but they would go on to lose that game uh, at 36-28. For Kirk Cousins' career against the Steelers, he has 2 touchdowns to 4 interception ratio. He's got sacked 0 times. So you look at that first key right there about like making it one dimensional. That's going to leave you the key and key number 2, getting Kirk under pressure. They have yet to sack Kirk Cousins when he was a member with Washington. And then, I mean, you look at the touchdown interception ratio. I just read off to you. Steelers were ranked 11th in the league despite having their 5-year sack streak, 50 sacks or more, snapped 2 years ago. if they can find a way to get in Kirk Cousins' face, be a little disruptor, get after him, I think that could be a good sign right there too. It could create some negative yards right here. I'll look for stuff like that. That'd be my second key. Key number three, outside linebacker Matt Judon versus left tackle Robert Jones. Uh, Matt Judon, who was acquired August 14th in the trade with the Patriots, Judon wanted to change the scenery, and he got it. He had a bicep injury that limited him to just 4 games in 2023, but in the previous 2 seasons, he racked up 28 sacks. Judon just turned 32, but has relentless more that won't be fun for Jones to deal with. And then last key, kiss. Keep it simple, silly. Don't overthink the offense execution where it's Russ or Justin starting. The new kickoff rule could be a wild card in the special teams, which I agree with Brian right there. But quality blocking, sure tackling, and being assignment sound never lose their value, no matter the mechanics of the play. And real quickly, I did say I was going to end the show right now. Some over under odds right now. I gotta tell you what, that Chiefs versus Ravens game and the Packers Eagles game right now. I know with Jordan Love being the lead story getting hurt towards the end of the game right there. So we'll see, but it looks like for right now, according to NFL.com, that his initial timetable for return will be 3 to 6 weeks. Uh, Expectation for Jordan Love and Green Bay Packers are met a setback, but we'll find out about that. But he suffered an MCL sprain during the Packers season opening loss to the Philadelphia Eagles on Friday in Brazil. And Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero reported Saturday per sources. Pelissero added that the recovery for timeline for Love and ACL is in the range of 3 to 6 weeks, but there's optimism he could return sooner. So I did mention over under odds right now for this season. Let's go ahead and get right into them right now. Uh, you look at regular season win totals right now. The Pittsburgh Steelers right now, according to OddsShark and Vegas Insider right now, Steelers right now, for the most part, for wins in the regular season, they are at 8.5, plus 125. So right now, that's less than 50% right now. A lot of people are anticipating that this could be Mike Tomlin's first ever losing season. I'm not going to bet against him, but right now, I think that's what's going to be. It's either going to be a 9-8 season or no higher than 11-6, if luckily. Because when you look at this schedule right now for this season going on right now, you definitely got like a rocky road to start off with. Back-to-back games on the road. Your second being in Denver. You know how they struggle. On the road versus the Broncos right there. It's really not good at all. Historically, when they go on and face them, they're 5 games under 500 in the Mile High City, or 6 games under 500. Excuse me, 6 games under 500. With their last victory being 15 years ago, when they're defending Super Bowl champs. This was on Monday Night Football. They won that game 28-10. That was like the only lopsided victory by the Steelers ever having to dominate in Denver was that year, and that was their highest margin of victory as a franchise visiting the Broncos. And then, so 8.5 wins. I'm gonna say I'll put the over under at 9.5. I just gotta believe they're gonna at least keep the winning season going for Mike Tomlin. You know, I refuses to lose during the season. I'm ready to accept it. Like I said, 9-8 or 11-6, I'm fine with. Also, too, over under odds too for his sacks in the year. You look at the Steelers right now. Like guys like T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith right now. Over under for T.J. Watt, nearly 14 sacks. They got him at minus 115. Like at least 54% chance he'll get that. Alex Highsmith at 8.25, 52%. So like those, but I think Alex Highsmith needs to be a little bit higher on there. I think definitely, for the most part, Alex Highsmith, who's definitely continues to pick up and excel. With TJ Watt, the TAM that they have been becoming right there. He has career sacks 2 years ago. when TJ Watt was hurt most of the year. They did not win a lot of those games. He had 14 and a half sacks that year, 7 sacks last year after starting all 17 of his games, but he could definitely still be a disruptor. He has second most quarterback hits a year ago with 18. So there you go, right there for that. And then last but not least, MVP odds right now too for this year. You got Patrick Mahomes leading the way according to Vegas Insider at number one at plus 450, followed by Josh Allen at 850. Joe Burrow comes in fourth at plus 900. Jalen Hurts at plus 1,000. You got C.J. Stroud at 1,100. Jordan Love up in the air right now due to his injury. Aaron Rodgers, believe it or not, who's still ranked pretty solid spot, maybe a little bit lower, but still in the high spot. If you ask me, still top 10. He for right now, depending with Love's injury, he is ranked seventh plus 1,500. And you got Dak Prescott at 1,800. Right now, wait and see who gets a new deal with the Cowboys. Followed by Brock Purdy, as he champions with the 49ers, and Lamar Jackson, the reigning MVP, at 10th or 11th, excuse me. So there you have it right there. For MVP, I'm gonna go with Josh Allen for some reason. I mean, Bills right now, similar to the Cowboys. I think this is it right now. They're gonna have any last remote gasp of cashing in, like making a deep playoff run, possibly threatening for the Super Bowl. The time is right now. And speaking of time, my time is up. And once again, I hope you enjoyed this opening kickoff edition here of Show Blitz as presented by the Man of Steel Podcast. You can follow me on X at Man of Steel CGR and on Instagram at Man of Steel Nation. Like I said, for the Steelers this year, I'm going to predict them for this season. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, look at this schedule right now. I definitely feel like looking at it when we get ready to get into it, I could definitely see them right now at least. I won't be surprised they start off 0-3, to tell you the truth. 0-3, because that third game, that's not going to be a walk in the park. I mean, Jim Harbaugh has played really good defense against Mike Tomlin right there. And I know it's against the Chargers, but still, I mean, he has a good pedigree of offense. I mean, defense right there, as well as ability of a good quarterback. But I mean, look at it. I mean, the rest of the way. I mean, down the stretch is definitely going to be the hardest one. But I mean, right now, I will look for them to finally get back in the rhythm in October. I mean, if they could find a way to have a clean sweep in October, that'd be a good tone setter right there. And then you gotta go on the road versus Washington, their first bye, which be in week 10. But definitely where it gets, like real like mode for survival, where they finish out their final 8 games of seasons with, I mean, the final 9 games of the season right there. I mean, you go at Washington, at the Browns, at the Bengals, at Eagles, at Ravens. That's 5 out of your 9 games right there, with only 4 home games right there. I mean, your last 2 home games to finish out the season, which by the way should be the Chiefs on Christmas, which be on Netflix, and the Bengals to be determined. But once again, just a reminder, if you guys are signed up for NFL Plus, you can stream the games on your phone. If you guys want to avoid sign up for like Amazon Prime TV to watch Thursday night football games, or Netflix, or whatever platform they decide to put on, my advice to you, get like a streaming, a Chromecast or something that can mirror your phone onto your TV, and you could watch your NFL Plus games on there. Because remember, NFL Plus, just once again, if you gotta play annually, it's $99.99 plus tax for the year. You can watch live local games that are on during the day in your area, your TV and streaming market. You get live preseason games, which are already just wrapped up, live night games, and live playoff games, and then you get to hear the live radio play-by-play. So, once again, as I always leave you, don't be trolling, be rolling. Here we go. Thank you for watching the Man of Steel podcast with your host, Charles Prodigy Richey, here on YouTube. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button. And for all the latest Man of Steel podcast episodes, feel free to download them on Mixcloud Anchor.fm, and SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasts.
Here come the bus! Here come the bus!